Well, right now on Weather Underground, Tropical Storm Danny nearing the South Carolina coast with landfall just hours away. Our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knapp, is breaking down every threat and why people even 300 miles away from the coast need to be on alert. An intense storm sent water rushing through a major U.S. city, turning interstates into rivers. And it's just the beginning. We'll show you how long the rain is going to stick around.
Hot enough for you? Sweltering heat from Portland to Pittsburgh. We're going to go live from Washington State on the historic triple-digit temperatures. And maybe you are finally getting away for Independence Day. Well, as the number of travelers nears pre-pandemic levels, we're looking at the top beach dangers, including why rip currents aren't just a problem at the ocean. It's all coming up right now on Weather Underground.
Well, hey there, welcome into a special extended edition of Weather Underground with you until 9 o'clock Eastern as we track Tropical Storm Danny in the southeast, extreme heat in the northwest, and plenty of rain in between. I'm Alex Wilson.
And I'm Mark Elliott. Yeah, we've got roads buckling in the Pacific Northwest now, Alex. It's that hot out there. But gosh, it's all about the tropics for now, right? We got to look in on the tropical storm that is basically coming inland right now. Tropical storm warnings are up for the Charleston area. Isolated tornadoes, certainly bursts of heavy rain, lots of lightning as that swirl moves in. The South Carolina and Georgia coast will see torrential rainfall, as will the inland areas. But for now, we're looking at Charleston and Savannah. Savannah, the raindrops on the lens. Again, or still, I think a flash of lightning just occurred as well. So that is a slow-moving thunderstorm and an ongoing rainfall threat. Flood advisories and warnings were posted a couple hours ago, and they're still ongoing. So let's bring in our hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knapp, who's watching this swirl slowly making its way in. Do you think there's going to be a call of a landfall pretty soon here, Dr. Knapp?
Yeah, Mark, that could happen any time. They may wait till the intermediate public advisory, 8 p.m. Eastern time, to tell us exactly when and where landfall was, but I think by that time it will have happened. But we also got to watch closely where the weather is the worst, and that's not right where the circulation center is, and it's not really even on the northern side, although they've got some tropical storm force gusts and tree and power line problems on near and north of the center. But the worst weather overall is in the Savannah, Georgia area. We'll detail that in just a little bit. Now, this is a fast mover, moving west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. So all of the hazards are lessened a little bit with the fast mover because that will lessen the duration of the rainfall at any one spot, so the flooding problems will be less. But again, not everybody in here is going to get flooding, but we do have problems, in the Savannah area. Now, we'll show you that in a little bit. Just to remind you, the big picture, Danny's coming ashore, but so is some onshore flow, so we got the high risk of the rip currents. But this high is what's bringing Danny inland and why we've got the fast motion. But that's not preventing the rainfall from adding up. Now, it's got lots of fuel from the Gulf Stream that it tapped into as that swirl was moving across the Atlantic today. Look at that open swirl, and then kaboom, over the Gulf Stream, and then you get some of the land friction heating in the day, everything coming together in this area. But because of the westerly wind, the easterly wind shear with upper level low down here, it's kind of west loaded. And so if you've ended up on this side of the storm, it's ended up being, in many ways, the worst part of the storm. So let's take a closer look at what's going on in Savannah. We got the overshooting tops here. You're getting gusts 25, 30 miles an hour to the north of it. But look at these overshooting tops. So if you are in Savannah or either side, up and down I-95, like Hardeeville is just over the border from Georgia in South Carolina. And this is near I-95 as you exit Georgia. And it's very unpleasant weather. And there's been a lot of lightning, and if you're on the interstate, it's got to be blinding. And you don't see a lot of trees coming down, but the problem could be that somewhere an isolated branch could come down, isolated power line could come down. So that's where the bad weather is. Now, you've got sustained winds that are well below tropical storm force in most of these observing sites, but we are getting gusts that have exceeded 30 miles an hour all the way up, near Georgetown. So this whole area has some strong onshore flow, but when you're down in this area, see here, the circulation center is coming ashore somewhere right in here between Hilton Head and Edisto Beach, I think. But look at how persistent the convection has been on that southwest side because of the shear and the center circulation kind of sliding along to the north of that. And this is just absolutely vicious cluster of lightning that has persisted over the same spot, and that's where the rains have been heaviest as well. So we've got the flood advisories here for the Savannah area, and if you look at how much rain has fallen, Mark, the radar is estimating 4 to 5 inches in the past hour, and I wouldn't necessarily doubt that because of how vicious that lightning is and in that one spot. We just can't shake the rain in Savannah right now.
That is quite the Doppler radar estimate there. Gosh, 4 to 5 inches of rain. That's a lot coming in, and some of that tropical moisture is indeed going to move inland into places like, say, Atlanta, the rest of the North Georgia mountains, the upstate of South Carolina. The kind of connecting feature here is the farther you get from the coast, the more the mountainous terrain really picks up. And so you could get into some flooding because of the terrain, right? The low-lying areas wind up holding that water. So this is the virtual view of the Atlanta area, and you may feel very much like this. From overnight tonight into tomorrow, rounds of rain and thunderstorms will come through. Here's a look at that timing. Now, it may not be raining the whole time, but you'll see these rounds of showers and storms come through, starting overnight tonight, then continuing as we work our way through the rest of the afternoon into the evening tomorrow before this finally starts to exit the picture. Let's follow the swirl from the coast and move inland. Now, when you have this cone, in case you're, a little bit out of practice, right, beginning of the season, it's tracking where the center of the circulation will go. It is not an impact cone. It's a center of circulation cone. And with a disorganized tropical storm that will probably lose that tropical storm status sooner rather than later once it moves over land, the impacts very rarely stay inside the cone. So you do have to watch this across the rest of South Carolina. You're not colored in red, but you'll have some of the impacts. You have to watch this across northern Alabama, North Georgia, maybe southern Tennessee. You're not necessarily in that red. So let's follow this. Here comes that swirl into, say, the Atlanta metro area. Scattered showers and storms through lunchtime. A secondary round comes in, but also at that point, Chattanooga, Huntsville, Nashville, you're starting to see showers and storms. A tropical feel because of that old tropical system, or what's left of Danny, coming through. The other thing of note is that you really don't see a concentrated area of spin and wind with this type of weak system, but any one thunderstorm could certainly give you some gusty winds. So 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts, not at all out of the question as this moves through. Alex, far-reaching impacts even from a disorganized tropical system.
Absolutely. And meanwhile, out in the west, it's heat that is the top story. It's day 3 of triple-digit temperatures for Seattle. First time ever that has happened, and it's been an unwelcome record stretch, as air conditioning really isn't even the norm in this part of the country. Now, we have temps well above 110 in a place like Portland. Our meteorologist, Chris Warren, is there in Seattle, where we are at, 106 is the highest so far today, and that, again, all-time record high for the area.
And Alex, I grew up here in Western Washington, and something I don't remember feeling, a warm breeze. I heard the trees start to rustle a little bit, the air's flowing across my skin, and it is warm. Not used to that. I've experienced that when I was growing up in California and Eastern Washington, but not here with all this green and all this water all around. How this extreme, extraordinary, historic record heat, how it all happened, it's not as simple as just a heat dome, right? There are so many factors that had to come together for this extraordinary event. And I want to start, give you kind of an idea, because the atmosphere is so complicated, with this, right? This is what you'd clean dust off of, your keyboard perhaps. Take the temperature of the outside of the can, 91 degrees, okay? You're going to just use it for a little bit. Right, you've done this, when you do it, and you feel like, oh, the can's getting a little bit colder. What's happening? This is compressed air. I'm decompressing a little bit the can, and that is a cooling process. So now it's 65 degrees. Again, it was in the 90s a few moments ago, and it's even getting, I can feel it getting even colder. So, and up there at 72, 65, 64 at the bottom. So the point is, When air is let out and it expands, it cools. The opposite is also true, is that when air is compressed together, it warms. So while wind direction has been important here in Western Washington, a big ridge of high pressure setting up in just the right spot, because if it doesn't set up in the right spot, we're going to get cold air coming into Seattle and coming into Western Washington, but the wind direction changed. We had an area of low pressure, a thermal trough area of low pressure. We had that. We had the big area, and we still do, by the way, big area of high pressure, but there's mountains east, and the winds are coming from the east, and as that air, where areas that are already hot, comes over the mountains, it goes down, it compresses, and it warms even more. High pressure, also sinking air, Alex. It compresses and warms even more. Significant event, very difficult to get everything lined up, but it happened this time.
Yeah, it happened in a big way. Again, unprecedented. Never have seen 3 days of 100-degree or higher heat there in Seattle. So, folks, you're dealing with it, but you're at least living through history. Chris, thank you so much. We're going to get back to Chris. Eastern part of the country getting in on some dangerous heat as well. We take you to the campus of Holy Cross. This is in Worcester, Massachusetts, where the temperature has been around 90 degrees, currently at 87. So we've begun to see those numbers drop a bit. Heat advisory in effect here in Worcester for the better part of the week. And you're not alone. We've got heat advisories in effect across a lot of the Northeast, even an excessive heat warning down around the Philly area, parts of Jersey. So we're talking about uncomfortable and even dangerous heat. This is the kind of stuff that if you know somebody, maybe you've got an elderly neighbor who may not have air conditioning, making sure you're checking in on them. Bring pets inside. They can't be outside in the backyard on days like this. Watch the kids, too, as they're out in the backyard playing or hanging out at the pool. Make sure everybody's staying hydrated. Heat advisories, excessive heat warnings in effect through tomorrow. We've got very bountiful dew points, we'll call it. It feels tropical. It is that air you can wear. Anything 70 or higher, that's when you're feeling, like you're in the tropics. But here you're walking out of work. You're in your work clothes, sweating through those in a matter of minutes. It's much different when you've got a dew point of 70 degrees when you're down at a beach resort. Not the case here. Boston dew point of 73 degrees. And when you combine that with those highs that have been into the 90s, the heat index values have been into the triple digits. So again, that's why we've got those heat advisories and excessive heat warnings in effect. Now, into tonight, there is the possibility of some strong thunderstorms across sections of northern Vermont, New Hampshire, and into the state of Maine. We've got a warning here in New York. So we're down along the Southern Tier the Southern Tier Expressway, 86, north of Wellsville. We've got a warning, and this is for Allegheny County until 7:15 local time. Tomorrow, highs again well into the 80s, even 90s for the I-95 corridor. Take a look at Boston, a high of 98. You combine that with those dew points in the 70-degree range, it is going to be uncomfortable to say the least. Wednesday, a possibility of severe storms once again returns to sections of the Northeast and New England states. So once again, got to be on the lookout, Mark. I know those pools are going to be popular with the heat and heat index values, so got to keep an eye to the sky as well.
Yeah, and the lifeguards better clear those pools as soon as they hear any thunder nearby, because that means the storm potential is growing. Now, the storms were a big part of the story this weekend. Portions of I-94 and Metro Detroit are still underwater 2 days or so after drenching rains put huge sections of the busy thoroughfare into the river, right? More than 6 inches of rain fell in a matter of hours this weekend. The freeways have been slow to drain because they were put in place after the city was already built, and they are below ground in many cases through Wayne County, and that basically allows that bowl to hold on to the water. Gosh, and all those cars stalled out. Just terrible scene to see that. There could be more flooding on the way because we are still stuck in a very repetitive pattern through the center of the country as well. A tropical feed coming right up through the center of the nation from Chicago to Oklahoma City. You've seen day after day after day of thunderstorm action, and this is what that translates to on the water vapor imagery. You can really feel that flow from the Gulf of Mexico this way, and even some tropical Pacific moisture coming in as well, and then that's the corridor in between where you see round after round after round of rain and thunderstorm action. Chicago earlier today had a severe thunderstorm warning, a bit of a break now, though there's some light rain approaching, then bigger rains once again coming through northern Illinois. We've got some storms coming in from the other direction. The Atlantic tropical feed is affecting us into, say, eastern Tennessee and extreme western Virginia. These are the Tennessee storms, Anderson, Campbell, and Knox, and just north from there heading towards Maynardville, or really just outside of that now because the storms are going in the kind of the opposite direction than you may be used to. Union County there. Again, those storms going east to west as our tropical feed comes through. And then this is extreme western portions of Virginia, Wise County, severe thunderstorm warning here also. How about all the rain, though, in the center of the country? We've got all these green boxes on the map. Those are indeed flash flood alerts and flash flood warnings, plus the rivers are high across the center of the country. These red upside-down triangles, that delta symbol indicating moderate flood stage along the rivers, and a couple that have gone into major flood stage, show homes and businesses near water at this point, Alex.
All right, well, still to come on Weather Underground, hours away, even moments away from Tropical Storm Danny making landfall. High winds, waves, rip currents, of course, a threat, but the storm will also have effects well inland. We're going to talk about why people in Atlanta need to watch this. Plus, big waves, rip currents only in the ocean, right? Not necessarily. We'll take a look at where some rip currents may catch you off guard.
Well, look at you. You mastered the master bath. You created your own style. And you, yes you, turned a sourdough starter into a sourdough finisher. So when you learn your chronic dry eye is actually caused by reduced tear production due to inflammation, you take it on by talking to your eye care professional about Restasis, which may help you make more of your own tears with continued use twice a day, every day. Restasis helps increase your eye's natural ability to produce tears, which may be reduced by inflammation due to chronic dry eye. Restasis did not increase tear production in patients using anti-inflammatory eye drops or tear duct plugs. To help avoid eye injury and contamination, do not touch the bottle tip to your eye or other surfaces. Wait 15 minutes after use before inserting contact lenses. The most common side effect is a temporary burning sensation. Ask your eye care professional about Restasis. Now to trick out these lights. Visit Restasis.com to learn more.
This is what you've been working for. This is what it takes, making your own luck. This is shoot the lights out or lights out for the season. That's the conference finals. That's game.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil.
The suffering caused by natural disasters, caused by human intentions, all has the feel of desperation that nothing can make a difference.
But in those moments of those whys, that's when we are called to show the love of Christ.
Samaritan's Purse, we're on a rescue mission, and we go in Jesus' name.
They are helping in many ways, providing water, food, so many things.
No matter how great the challenges are, our God is bigger.
There's nothing can stand against love. That's what our Lord Jesus teaches us.
We go into the areas of the world where people are in the ditch, where there are wars and famines and disease. This is where we go. This is what we do. We help in Jesus' name.
Are you using Liberty Mutual's coverage customizer tool? So you only pay for what you need.
Sorry?
Label, you're an animal!
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Curiosity pushes you forward. It's what inspired Meiomi to create an unrivaled wine using the best from California to push flavor in new directions for a taste like no other. Meiomi, flavor forward.
Attention filmmakers, it's your last chance to submit your short film for a chance to win $10,000. Go to pattrn.com for details.
I hated sticking my fingers. Then I got the Dexcom G6.
I just glance at my phone and there's my glucose number.
Wow.
My A1C's dropped over 2 points to 7.2.
That's a huge victory.
Better sleep means a better you. Mattress Firm's Rest Assured Promise guarantees you'll find your perfect bed from America's best brands. Save $500 on Tempur-Breeze mattresses and sleep 8 degrees cooler. Plus, get a $300 instant gift. Only at Mattress Firm.
Are your sneezes putting your friends in awkward positions? Stick with Zyrtec. Zyrtec starts working hard at hour 1 and works twice as hard when you take it again the next day. Zyrtec, muddle no more.
Looking for superior protection against UV damage and early skin aging? Try Neutrogena Ultra Sheer. It provides exceptional cellular protection from burning UVB rays and aging UVA rays. Save 25% at Neutrogena.com.
A heat advisory is in effect. Currently in our area, 86 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 74. Chance of rain 50%. Tuesday, sunshine and some clouds. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High 95. Tuesday night, clear skies. Low 79. Winds southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Around here, they say if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute.
I love to watch the waves after a storm. The storm can be long gone, but the waves just keep going.
Ask my history teacher where to go to college. He said, go where you like the weather. Best advice I've ever gotten.
Get into the out there. The Weather Channel.
Tropical storm Danny is in the process of making landfall. In fact, if I had to say, I would say it made landfall probably within the last 40 minutes or so, probably between 6:30 and 7 p.m. The Hurricane Center will have an intermediate public advisory coming out at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And they'll probably designate that the system has made landfall as it moves quickly west-northwestward at 16 miles an hour, but the weather continues to be really bad in Savannah.
You know, all this week on Weather Underground, we're breaking down beach hazards. And with so many people heading to the beach for the July 4th holiday, the risk for accidents on the water goes way up. And it's not just, say, the traditional beaches at the ocean that can be deadly. In fact, 2020 was the deadliest year on record for Lake Michigan. So what makes it so dangerous? Let's talk a little bit about why Lake Michigan in particular is kind of a different beast compared to other lakes across the country. Number one, it's huge comparatively, right? There is a long fetch, right? That distance of the lake north to south is about 307 miles. And even on the narrow side, it's still rather long, right? 118 miles wide. That means when the winds go over those waters, there's more than enough time for the winds to move that water. That's what creates waves, right? Wind going up and over the water, over those long fetches of water. So the longer the wind is moving over the water, the bigger the waves can get. And the waves not only have the battering force, they have a danger, but they also wind up leading into currents. There can be many different types of currents on the lakes, including rip currents, but also longshore currents and obstacles that get in the way that just add to that threat. So yes, we know that rip currents can be an underestimated danger even on the Great Lakes. We want to bring in Dave Benjamin with the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project, joining us now to talk about why people shouldn't let their guard down just because they're visiting a lake and not the ocean. This is a different beast, and I think people kind of underestimate the risk here.
All right, Dave, let's start with some of the concerns that we need to have. Rip currents on lakes. I think a lot of people probably show up thinking like, gosh, rip current wouldn't be a thing, but this is a real risk at some of those beaches.
Yes, absolutely. So winds across the Great Lakes make several types of dangerous currents. If the winds are coming onshore, it can create waves as well as dangerous currents, such as longshore currents, rip currents, and structural currents around piers. So these currents can kind of work in concert where even small waves, 2 to 3 foot, yellow flag conditions, fun, ready to play in, and more people going in the water, not really understanding that a longshore current can move you down the beach a little bit to where, you're on a sandbar and it's nice and shallow, but it gets a little deeper as you move parallel to shore. It could go into the trough of a rip current and then move away from shore. And then same thing, the longshore current can move you down the beach towards the pier. And when it gets to the pier, it's going to go out and around the pier. And there's going to be drop-offs and other obstacles around the pier, such as these big riprap boulders. So there's a lot of hazards around these piers.
So, Dave, let's say I'm taking my family, got young kids, want to go to the lake. What should we be looking for? How should we stay safe this summer?
We need to understand that there's always hazards around every body of water, and that water safety across the board nationwide is just not common sense. It's common sense to know that if your clothes catch on fire, you should stop, drop, and roll, but it's not common sense what you should do if you get in trouble in the water and you're struggling. So we want people to know that you should always be hyper aware around any body of water, that there's always hazards around water. When you're going to the beach, you should make sure that you have a water watcher, that there's one person in your group who's the designated adult water watcher who's going to watch the water at all times while your party's in the water. And if you need to go to the bathroom or concession stand, you need to assign another adult water watcher. Safe Kids USA has a great device. It's called a water watcher tag. You can print it off their website, put it on a necklace, you wear it around, and you just take it off and you put it on another adult, and you read them the instructions. While watching or while you are at the beach, you will keep your eyes on the water at all times. If you need to leave, another adult will replace you, and you just put it on the next adult.
Yeah, it's a great tip there. And plus, turning over and floating so that you have enough time to then signal help. So many great things that we can think about when going into waters that we might not be as used to as, say, ocean waters. That's Dave Benjamin with the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Great information as always.
Thank you.
And coming up next on Weather Underground, we've been talking about record-shattering heat. Well, meteorologist Chris Warren is back in that heat in the Pacific Northwest. He's going to show us what they are facing, including some numbers on those thermometers that they have literally never experienced before in those locations.
So now Dish allows you to access your Google Nest Hello doorbell from your TV.
Wait, what time is it? No, he's here early. He can't see me like this. What do I do?
Always know who's at your door right from your TV. Dish, tuned in to you.
I need to sell my house. Now, there are a lot of places that claim to know how much it's worth, but they don't really know my house or my neighborhood, and they definitely don't show me all my options. That's where HomeLight comes in. I just answer a few questions, and HomeLight gives me a side-by-side comparison of my options, personalized for my needs. And they'll show me what verified buyers will pay for my house right now. It's easy, and it's free. No matter how you choose to sell your home, selling starts at HomeLight. Get started today at HomeLight.com.
Tide Pods Ultra Oxy one-ups the cleaning power of liquid.
Can it one-up whatever they're doing?
For sure.
Seriously?
One-up the power of liquid, one-up the toughest stains. Any further questions? One-up the power of liquid with Tide Pods Ultra Oxy.
Not everybody wants the same thing. That's why I go with Liberty Mutual. They customize my car insurance so I only pay for what I need. Because I do things a bit differently. What, teddy bears? What, teddy bears, Hick?
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Michelin is trusted to land 1 out of 3 commercial planes in the world. Michelin, motion for life.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me, you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Help keep elephants in our world.
Visit WWFheals.org or call this number and symbolically adopt an elephant for just $12 a month. Your support will help WWF protect elephants and other threatened wildlife and their habitats. Go online or call in the next 5 minutes and we'll send you an adoption kit with this adorable plush elephant. Don't let them disappear forever. Act now to help keep elephants and other precious wildlife in our world. Go online or call now.
This is a big deal. Now at healthcare.gov, millions more people can afford health coverage. Due to the COVID relief law, you can pay less with financial help. In fact, 4 out of 5 customers can get a plan for under $10 a month. From doctor visits to preventive services to prescription drugs, these are quality plans. You can do this. You can have coverage as soon as July 1st if you sign up now at healthcare.gov.
DiGiorno has 7 delicious crusts, and your family food critics will rave. Croissant crust is flaky layers of buttery bliss. Rising crust is fresh baked deliciousness. There's a 5-star pizza for everyone in your family to love. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Here's my new dress. What's that? Oh, Damp Rid.
Damp Rid? Yeah, Damp Rid. Gets rid of musty odors.
How? Well, Damp Rid attracts and traps excess moisture,
eliminating the source of musty odors.
Mustiness, gone.
Damp Rid.
Even as the world opens back up, some social distancing is still highly recommended. Get into the out there. The Weather Channel.
Well, the center of Tropical Storm Danny has come ashore. That's best I can tell from all the available satellite and radar data. And the National Hurricane Center will come out with an intermediate public advisory sometime between now and 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm quite sure they will tell us that the center has come ashore. Maybe they'll put a time on it. I'll show you why I think that has occurred based on what we can see on radar and satellite, but I'm also going to show you what's going on in Savannah. It has really been coming down there. So this is a quick mover. The 5 p.m. advisory had the motion as west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. And if you do the math, it was about an hour and a half away from making landfall if you just follow the path. Well, that would put us right around 6:30. So I think that's about when it came ashore, being steered around the Bermuda High. So it's in a pretty fast steering current. That's good news. That lessens the duration of the rainfall and the wind. For most of you in Savannah, it has rained really hard for the last couple of hours. Now, here's the long loop. So there's the open swirl going back to 1 o'clock this afternoon, when it was a few dozen miles offshore and on a west-northwest path. That would also, bring it onshore in the 6:30, 7 p.m. Time frame. Now, let's take a closer look. Take a look at the radar. Okay, if you look through this, if you go back to about 6 p.m., it's pretty clear it's offshore because you have right in there what appears to be the west side of the open swirl. And then by we get to 7 p.m., everything's on shore. And now look at how, with the center of circulation on land, the heavy rainfall down in Savannah between there and Hilton Head is now being drawn northeastward. So that's another indication that center of circulation is well on shore. But wow, it has really been coming down on the west and now the southwest side of the circulation center. And that has meant for some heavy downpours that have really added up. Now here's on the visible imagery, you can see those overshooting tops. Look at here's the center of circulation coming this way, but those overshooting tops just keep bubbling Savannah and then northward along I-95. So it has really been an amazing persistence of those thunderstorms. Now this is going to move quickly northwestward and it will weaken quickly. So we're not going to get an update on that track at 8 p.m. We will at 11 p.m. But it's moving west-northwest pretty quickly. But there you can see the center circulation up in here, and look at the vicious lightning that has finally moved north of downtown Savannah. But there and northward along I-95, we've got a flood advisory till 9:30 local time, and radar estimates are somewhere between 4 and 6 inches over the last hour, especially near and just north of Savannah. My goodness, be careful on the roads, folks. Alex?
Yeah, a lot of rain out there. And meanwhile, it is heat that's making the headlines across the Northwest, a part of the country that is used to being really comfortable Instead, downright miserable. Meteorologist Chris Warren is live in Kirkland, Washington, where, Chris, it's the third day of above 100-degree heat.
Hey, you know what? As you were just talking, Alex, you're making me think how unusual this is, what's usually cool, especially in June. Growing up here, we would joke that summer started on July 5th, right? I mean, June has some really wet and drizzly days for a long time. But what really is kind of mind-boggling to me, as you were kind of making that point, is that once we get out of the triple digits and possibly 90 again tomorrow, and then 80, so 10 to 15 degrees warmer than average for the rest of the week, that's going to be cool? That's the cool down? Right? That's usually when we're saying, wow, it's been warm for a while, you know. Yeah, absolutely. 80 here in Seattle, I've always thought, and I think a lot of people agree with me, 85 degrees is kind of that threshold for hot. And then you get up, if you have a few days in the 90s, that's significant. Even if it's 90, 91, 92, 91, that's a heat wave, right? But to have it this hot is ridiculous. And that's why we have this scene right here. People are just chilling, just hanging out, not doing a lot. The kids are playing around a little bit more, but as we were hanging out for the past few hours, what we did see was, it kind of got real busy for a little while. It's kind of a lull right now, and it has been noticeably hotter in the past few hours. The good news is, and what I've been expecting, which is pretty common in the summertime in this part of Washington State, is to get a little bit of a breeze. It heats up inland, and then you start to see the air moving around, and that's good. When the air moves, it helps cool you down, and we're in about 70 degrees, in the 70s water, and especially at the surface it's going to be a little bit warmer, but you go deeper, it's going to be colder. On the other side of Seattle, we're across downtown Seattle, across the Lake Washington from downtown Seattle. That's where the Puget Sound is, which is connected to the Pacific Ocean, and that's what's going to bring some serious relief. And I can tell you, stay with us here on the Weather Channel, because we're going to continue to track that big cool down, fortunately, that's on the way, and we can thank, in part, the Pacific Ocean here in Seattle.
Okay, at AT&T, everyone gets our best deals on all smartphones.
Let me break it down.
You got your new customers. They get our best deals. You got your existing customers. They also get our best deals. Everyone gets the deals. Questions?
Got it. But why did you use a permanent marker?
Because I want to make sure you remember. I'm going to get a new whiteboard.
It's not complicated. Only AT&T gives everyone our best deals on every smartphone, like the Samsung Galaxy S21 5G for free.
This is what 30 minutes of boot camp tastes like. Come on, Peloton.
Let it flow. Reach all the way up.
Check your vibe. It's time to grind, Peloton. Let's turn it up. Come on.
What's up, hustlers? Welcome to Peloton Outdoor. Let's get jogging.
Find your rhythm, baby. 1, 2, 1, 2. So many Peloton newbies on the leaderboard today. Welcome to the family.
The Peloton bike starting at $49 a month. All access membership separate.
Tide Pods Ultra Oxy one-ups the cleaning power of liquid.
Can it one-up whatever they're doing?
For sure.
Seriously?
One-up the power of liquid, one-up the toughest stains. Any further questions? One-up the power of liquid with Tide Pods Ultra Oxy.
We've never been so ready to get back out there. And with Copper Tone Sport, we can reclaim the boulders, the backwoods, and the breakers. Copper Tone Sport. Find your sun.
Cause you woke up in the morning with initiative to move, so I make it harder. Push them buttons. If you think about it, so many people do be cool.
Michelin pioneered in Formula E to enhance the thrill of driving electric cars. Michelin. Motion for life.
This July 4th, let's pause and show our spirit across this land. Let's get ready to celebrate with family, good friends, and lots of fun. You work hard out here, so let's come together as a community and make the most of our summertime. Independence Day is upon us. Let's show what it means out here. Tractor Supply.
Strawberries, blueberries, and the cherry on top. Fairlife, with 50% more protein, 50% less sugar, and the creamy taste. Turn scrumptious into scrumptious. Fairlife, ultra-filtered milk.
Oh, this is a mouth-watering Marco's Pizza. And this is a new build-your-own-pizza bowl with no crust and up to 4 toppings for $7.99. Oh, yeah, that looks good. Marco's, lovers get it.
Curiosity. It's what inspired Naomi to create an unrivaled wine using the best from California to push flavor in new directions.
Product from a qualifying retailer for less, we'll match it. Home to any budget, home to any possibility.
Make more summer fun for less at Target.
Attention filmmakers, it's your last chance to submit your short film for a chance to win $10,000. Go to pattrn.com for details.
Center of Tropical Storm Danny has come ashore, and it has brought a pretty good punch of weather to places like Savannah, Georgia, and also some gusty winds to the north of its center of circulation. Now, Hurricane Center will put out an intermediate public advisory anytime now. That will be valid for 8 p.m. Eastern time. They're doing that because they've got the tropical storm warning up. So you get these intermediate public advisories, and I imagine that in that advisory they will give us their estimate of when the center of circulation crossed the coast, because at 5 p.m. it was less than 3 hours away from making landfall based on its position and forward motion. And let me show you some of the radar and satellite data throughout the day today to show you why it's come ashore, as it is steered quickly to the west-northwest around the Bermuda High. And we have the high resolution GOES visible imagery today. Look at the open swirl we had all day yesterday, all day today, and then boom, at the last minute, the thunderstorms blow up over the Gulf Stream on the west side of this sheared tropical storm. And you can, if you look at this long loop, you can tell that it was on pace to make landfall prior to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Happened probably sometime within the last hour. And if we zoom in a little bit more with the radar, you can see how everything is now moving onshore. There's the west side of the low around 6 p.m. Around 6:30, it looks like, plus or minus is when the circulation center probably came ashore. But what has not gone away is all of that thunderstorm activity on the southwest side. It is just booming in Savannah. Flood advisories, some down trees and power lines associated with this, and vicious lightning, Alex.
And Dr. Nab, we're watching Tropical Storm Danny, not only, as you mentioned, moving through Georgia and South Carolina, but we've got other storms to watch. Hurricane Enrique is in the East Pacific, causing flash flooding and mudslides in southwest Mexico. High waves, strong tropical storm force winds battering the coast. So, Dr. Nab, this one's grabbing the attention for the Pacific interest.
Yeah, it sure is, Mark. Thanks. It's something that we say a lot. It doesn't have to make landfall to have problems on land, and that is what Enrique is doing, as it has developed and strengthened to hurricane over the weekend right near the coast of Mexico. And we'll talk about what's going on out in the Atlantic here in a few minutes. But the center of what is now again Tropical Storm Enrique, just below hurricane strength at 70 miles an hour, but northwest at only 6 miles an hour. This has always been a slow mover, and it will be for the rest of its life as a tropical cyclone. But you can see the onshore flow combined with the heating of the day along the mountains is making for this area of Mexico north of Puerto Vallarta a bullseye for some heavy rain and flood and mudslide concerns over the next few days. Still have tropical storm warnings, even a tropical storm watch for Cabo San Lucas as a weakened Enrique could get there and bring tropical storm conditions over the next couple of days. But it's going to be the water that is the big story from this point forward, to add to what we've already seen. Between now and Friday, this slow-moving system may be producing upwards of a ½ inch of rain in places like Manzanillo and Puerto Vallarta, and then going northward from there. Now, you might be thinking, hey, could we get some of that moisture to come a little farther north and get into a place like Arizona? Would that be nice to add to the monsoon moisture? Well, with this configuration, see the Gulf of California here, you've got the flow of the tropical cyclone, and if it stays in this general area, we're going to have a flow out of the southeast going up the Gulf of California, tapping into that warm water. And with this track, I think that is a distinct possibility. And you get to about Thursday or Friday, Alex, this will be pumping moisture into Arizona. So that's good news for them.
All right, let's take you to Chicago and to Dallas, or rather St. Louis and Chicago. Dallas, you've been kind of stormy. We're going to give you a break. Let's look at the peaks of sunshine out there this evening. We've got St. Louis at 81, Chicago at 78. Again, both have plenty of cloud cover, but some peaks of blue sky, which you like to see, given that we're in kind of a stormy pattern here across the middle of the country. We've got a stalled frontal boundary nearby that is keeping rain shower and thunderstorm chances present, and that's also going to bump up that flood threat just a bit. So we've got to watch for persistent rain that could trigger some flash flood warnings. In fact, we've already got that for some of these areas here in the middle of the country. Water vapor imagery showing the story. Of course, we've got Danny, but look at all that tropical moisture extending well into the Great Lakes region. Some heavy downpours through parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Illinois. And then we get you down into Missouri, where we have seen so much rain here over the last week or two that we've got a saturated ground, and all of the additional rainfall is leading to more flash flood problems. We've also got a severe warning here in Missouri. It's Montgomery and Warren counties, including Danville and New Florence, also Montgomery City. You're kind of in the thick of it right now with some very heavy downpours. Also watching for that possibility of gusty winds exceeding 60 miles an hour and perhaps some hail. Ingham County here in the state of Michigan. We've also got a tornado possible tag on this one. So while it's a severe warning, I want you to treat this one as if it's a tornado, lowest level, most interior room where you want to be. Parts of Virginia, Kentucky, and Tennessee, we've got a few scattered severe thunderstorms, and they're bringing, in addition to the severe threats, very, very heavy downpours. Here in Tennessee, we've got Anderson, Campbell, and Knox County. This storm moving right over I-75. Well, coming up on the show, Tropical Storm Danny, of course, not the only player we're keeping an eye on. Dr. Nab is back with a check on multiple tropical waves out in the Atlantic.
Your mission: stand up to moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis and take it on with Rinvoq. Rinvoq, a once-daily pill, can dramatically improve symptoms. Rinvoq helps tame pain, stiffness, swelling, and for some, Rinvoq can even significantly reduce RA fatigue. That's Rinvoq relief. With RA, your overactive immune system attacks your joints. Rinvoq regulates it to help stop the attack.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious infections and blood clots, sometimes fatal, have occurred, as have certain cancers, including lymphoma, and tears in the stomach or intestines, and changes in lab results. Your doctor should monitor your blood work. Tell your doctor about any infections, and if you are or may become pregnant while taking Rinvoq.
Take on RA. Talk to your rheumatologist about Rinvoq relief. Rinvoq. Make it your mission. If you can't afford your medicine, AbbVie may be able to help.
For Deb, living with constipation with belly pain was the same old story for years. Trying this, doing that, spending countless days right here. Still came the belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. Awful feelings she kept sugarcoating. Finally, with the help of her doctor, it came to be that her symptoms were all signs of IBS-C. And that's why she said yes to adding Linzess. Linzess is not a laxative. It helps you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and is proven to help relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. Do not give Linzess to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Could your story also be about IBS-C? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess.
Here's my new dress. What's that? Oh, Damp Rid.
Damp Rid? Damp Rid. It gets rid of musty odors.
How? Damp Rid attracts and traps excess moisture,
eliminating the source of musty odors.
Mustiness, gone.
Damp Rid. Domino's is testing driverless delivery powered by Neuro, and it's got someone back to their old habits. Avoid the Noid when you get any 2 or more medium 2-topping Domino's pizzas delivered for just $5.99 each.
Is your wireless service charging you more and giving you less? It's time for Spectrum Mobile.
So I can get more for less?
Yeah. In fact, most customers who switch save up to 40% on their wireless bill. Get unlimited talk and text with the fastest overall speeds and the most reliable coast-to-coast coverage. Switch to Spectrum Mobile with plans starting at $14 a gig. Call 844-878-0004.
How many lines do I have to get for those savings?
It's up to you. With Spectrum Mobile, you get the best price on every line. Plus, mix and match data plans to meet your needs. Guess it's no wonder millions of customers have already switched. Get Spectrum Mobile with plans starting at $14 a gig. Call 844-878-0004.
So what's the catch? I bet it's fees.
No, with Spectrum Mobile, there are no hidden fees, no added taxes, and no contracts. Don't wait. Switching is easy.
Awesome. Amazing. Nice.
Get Spectrum Mobile today with plans starting at $14 a gig. Call 844-878-0004 or visit a Spectrum store near you.
All right, evacuate immediately.
A heat advisory is in effect. Currently in our area, 86 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, thunderstorms early, low 74. Chance of rain 50%. Tuesday, sunshine and some clouds. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High 95. Tuesday night, clear skies. Low 79. Winds southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Tropics suddenly kicking, Dr. Nab. We've got an organized tropical threat on the Pacific side, a fast-developing tropical storm on the Atlantic side, and more waiting in the wings.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be one of those years, right, where everything seems to develop and things are affecting land. And wow, we've had a lot of that this weekend and today. Let's talk first about what's going on with Danny, and then we'll get to Enrique and with our tropical waves out in the Atlantic. There's more than one. It's not just Invest 95L. There's one behind it that could be concerning down the road. Now, with Danny, the intermediate public advisory could come out while I'm talking to you. It's due between, there it is, see? I made it happen. They saw me pop up on the screen. They hit Dr. Nab needs the advisory, and they hit send. There it is. So the maximum sustained winds at 40 miles per hour, still moving west-northwest at 16 miles an hour, and 15 miles east-southeast of Beaufort, South Carolina. That puts it essentially, on the coast. So plus or minus, we'll have to take a look at the details in the advisory on when a landfall has occurred. But in any event, it's being steered quickly off to the west-northwest around the Bermuda High. And if you look at the visible imagery, you can see how that open swirl, it was so easy to see until the last minute when the thunderstorms blew up over the Gulf Stream and then the system came ashore. And along the western and southwestern side of it, the thunderstorms have been very, very persistent. Oh my goodness, it has been coming down in Savannah. So sometime within the last hour, it appears that the center of circulation came ashore, and fortunately, that means that the weather is finally starting to improve in Savannah as the circulation center draws those thunderstorms northward. So it has been a rough ride there. And if you look at the wind observations, look at in Beaufort, South Carolina, how the winds have come out of the southeast, another indication of the passage of the circulation center. We've had gusts above 30 miles an hour on a lot of coastal observing locations, even in Walterboro. So it's been windy, but it is going to be a short-lived event on the coast because of that fast forward motion taking it off to the west-northwest. Now, with Enrique, 70-mile-an-hour tropical storm. It was a hurricane over the weekend. This one even though without landfall, has been affecting land, and it will again probably come ashore near Cabo San Lucas, and even if it doesn't make landfall there, it could easily bring tropical storm conditions there. And then, because of the slow-moving tropical system staying in this vicinity, you go into late this week, it will increase the surge up the Gulf of California and into southern portions of Arizona if this modeling depiction is correct. So could have some benefits for those who need more rain in the southwestern U.S. Now, let's go to the rest of the Atlantic because we have a couple of systems out there. The tropical wave here in the central tropical Atlantic, another one near the Cabo Verde Islands. Hurricane Center with their latest outlook that just came out here at 8 p.m. Eastern time, still keeping the odds at 40% because it's got to get to that warmer water first. And then it's got to contend with some wind shear. So the chances on this system, according to the Hurricane Center, haven't changed, 40% over the next 5 days. But I would not be surprised if the next tropical wave in the chain near the Cabo Verde Islands at some point gets added to the outlook, because the colors showing the low-level spin shows that lead wave getting to the windward and leeward islands on Wednesday. And then the next wave, the one behind it, gets to those islands on Friday. And both of them being pretty swiftly steered westward by that high over the central Atlantic without an exit path. So if development occurs in here, it's still going to move things farther west. But then when we get to this weekend, a trough over the eastern U.S. opens the door for the second wave that's now out here. For this one, perhaps, to be developing on our doorstep. Maybe, Alex, is just another one of those things to watch. You know, chances might seem small several days out, and then things perk up. That's why we never take our eyes off of any system in the tropics this time of year.
Absolutely, you can't do it. Well, storms could hamper the search efforts that continue in Surfside, Florida. Rescue workers once again spent the day looking for survivors in the rubble of a condominium building that collapsed early Thursday morning. The death toll currently sits at 10, but more than 150 people are still missing. And when we look at the forecast for the Surfside area here in the coming days, more of the same, more shower and thunderstorm chances each day. We've already seen some of those storms cause problems, cause some delays in that search and rescue, as thunder and lightning, of course, a danger to the crews out there. Mark?
And coming up, a bonus hour of Weather Underground, and we're going to head back to the Pacific Northwest, where the heat has been soaring to historic levels. Our own meteorologist Chris Warren shows us the unique ways people are beating the heat. Plus, 2 days later, in parts of Detroit still underwater, we show you where the storms are moving to next.
When you buy this tea at Walmart can buy more tea from Milo's. Milo's can create new jobs. Jobs for people like James and Lacey and me. Me, I love my work family. Family here and home is my life. Life is better for us because of a job. A job created when you buy this tea at Walmart.
And I got love, I got love, I got love. 'Cause you woke up in the morning with initiative to move, so I make it harder.
Michelin fights waste by developing tires made to last.
World time has come to
Michelin, motion for life.
We've never been so ready to get back out there. And with Copper Tone Sport, we can reclaim the boulders, the backwoods, and the breakers. Copper Tone Sport. Find your sun.
Attention runners, report to the starting line. Runners, report to the starter.
You don't become a runner who breaks 8 world records after age 65 without a serious support system. Kathy Martin has one in Medicare from Blue Cross Blue Shield. She won't go a day without the right card because she can't go a day without running. The Medicare coverage trusted by more doctors. This is the benefit of Blue. Learn more at benefitofblue.com.
Oh, this is a mouth-watering Marco's Pizza. And this is a new build-your-own pizza bowl with no crust and up to 4 toppings for $7.99. Oh, yeah, that looks good. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Will you help an animal who's starving today? Go online or call this number right now because hunger hurts and no animal should have to suffer this way. Your gift of just $19 a month can get them the food and care they need so desperately. Today could actually be the day you save a life. Go online or call now, and we'll send you this free membership kit. It's yours for taking action today. For the animals who need food and kindness, show them your heart and tell them you'll help. Call or go online right now.
Not everybody wants the same thing. That's why I go with Liberty Mutual. They customize my car insurance so I only pay for what I need. Because I do things a bit differently. What, teddy bears? What, teddy bears, Hick?
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Right now on Weather Underground, Tropical Storm Danny quickly nearing the South Carolina coast. In fact, making landfall. Our hurricane expert, Dr. Nab, is telling us now what we can expect after landfall well inland, where heavy rain could continue in the hours to come. An intense storm sending water rushing through a major U.S. city, turning interstates into rivers. This is just the beginning. We're going to show you how long the rain is set to stick around.
It's a little bit warm out, and that is the understatement of the century. It's sweltering heat from Portland and then all the way across the country to Pittsburgh. We're live from Washington State, where they've seen historic triple-digit temperatures. And are you getting away for Independence Day? Well, as the number of travelers nears those pre-pandemic levels, we're looking at the top beach dangers, including why rip currents aren't just a problem near the ocean. It's all coming up right now on Weather Underground.
Well, hey there, welcome into a special extended edition of Weather Underground with you until 9 o'clock Eastern as we track Tropical Storm Danny, which just made landfall at Pritchard Island, South Carolina.
Yeah, just outside of Hilton Head. That's Alex Wilson. I'm Mark Elliott, and we're not alone here. We're following the storm along with hurricane expert Dr. Rick Nab. Let's get you up to speed on where our tropical system is right now, including the need for tropical storm warnings to continue, 40-mile-per-hour winds still tropical storm status despite landfall occurring, an isolated chance of tornadoes along that coastline and inland as well. But then the rain was stealing the headlines. Slow-moving thunderstorms, specifically over the Savannah area, was really noticeable. We'll put it that way over the past couple of hours. Want to bring in hurricane expert Dr. Rick Nab, who's watching this storm. And Dr. Nab, now we transition to all the inland impacts as that disorganized swirl continues to move into the higher terrain of the southeast.
Yeah, and Mark, this will not be the highest end tropical storm impact we've ever seen, but that is how tropical storms get us. They let us think that they're small or relatively weak and moving fast, and okay, this is not going to be that big a deal, and then somebody's got a tree on their house, or somebody's in a car accident, or somebody's on a water-covered road. So let's not dismiss this, and it's already had some impacts. It's onshore, max winds at 40 miles an hour, continuing to move west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. So the forward motion being that fast is good news because that lessens the duration of the wind and the rain at any one spot. It does mean, though, that it can hold on to some of its punch a little farther inland. So a place like Augusta could get some gusty winds later tonight. The reason it's moving as quickly as it is because of the Bermuda High. And it's not just at the surface. It's a pretty well stacked high pressure area that has a strong steering current taking things quickly off to the northwest. And in addition to moving Danny inland, it's got the risk of rip currents from Florida into the Carolinas pretty high all on its own. But the tropical storm adding to the onshore flow into the Carolinas. There's the open swirl all the way until, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was easy to see that open swirl. And then the thunderstorms blew up over the Gulf Stream. A little bit of frictional convergence with the land, a little bit of heating of the day, and everything came together here on land to have a really persistent batch of thunderstorms, especially over the Savannah area. Now, here's the radar loop over the last couple of hours, and this makes it pretty clear that the system has moved onshore. We'll have to see what the Hurricane Center says later about what the exact landfall time is or was, but in any event, it's clear that it's onshore, and the good news is that that is taking a lot of the weather with it away from Savannah. With the last few visible images of the day, you can see those incredible overshooting tops in and around Savannah, and we had some really, really significant rainfall rates there, 4 or 5 inches per hour. So this track was not updated at 8 p.m. Eastern. It will at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Those intermediate public advisories, you just get an update on the position and the motion and the hazards and the watches and warnings and so forth. Now, it sure is nice to see that lightning signature going away in Savannah, because that was a vicious couple of hours. Now, if you go north on 95, you still got some pretty heavy thunderstorms, but the water that has already fallen means the flood advisory is still in effect, north of Savannah now until 9:30 Eastern time. But Savannah itself no longer in that flood advisory. But look at some of these hourly rainfall rates, 3 to 5 inches in just the last hour, but it's been raining harder for more than an hour. Some of the reports we've gotten in are a down power line in Savannah, and we've had some tropical storm force wind gusts with a tree down up in the Charleston area. So it's not everywhere, but isolated strong winds there's on the coast there, gusting over 40 miles an hour, are bringing down trees and power lines. But Alex, at least this is winding down in Savannah, and Mark, this will bring some effects inland, but not as much as a larger, slower moving storm would.
Sure, but, it's been so sultry over the southeast in places like Atlanta, where temperatures, even at this hour, are still in the mid to upper 80s. A very picturesque sky there, though. Well, look at that, a little cumulus cloud on the right side of your screen, and you've got some of the haze off in the background because it is so kind of hot and humid out there. So all we'll need is that little swirl to arrive from the tropics, and suddenly this virtual view of the Atlanta metro area will look very different by tomorrow, because we're going to transition into a rain event. Here's a look at your hourly forecast, and we're talking about on-again, off-again showers and storms from overnight tonight and then continuing into tomorrow. Maybe not raining the whole time, but also not necessarily all that nice either, as whatever's left from Danny basically goes right over the Atlanta metro area. Here's the forecast track of the center, which is more scientifically interesting than actually, practically useful, because it's a disorganized system and the impacts will be far outside of that cone, as is often the case as we get landfalling tropical systems. So keep that in mind for the rest of the season. Look at the swirl, though. You can see that area of shower and thunderstorm activity coming into North Georgia and the upstate of South Carolina, then transitioning over to Alabama and Tennessee. Again, really sultry, humid, unsettled air mass. So you had a little bit of tropical help, a little bit of that extra spin, and suddenly that's the kicker. So that's what will give you the chance for showers and storms. Now, as Dr. Knapp mentioned, it's not a large system. It's not slow moving. Finally, we get to talk about a tropical system that's not stalling out somewhere. But that also means that we don't really see a big core of wind. Maybe some gusts in some of the rain showers and some of the thunderstorms, but nothing that you wouldn't see in any other the storm that you might encounter. But rounds of this, Alex, showers and thunderstorms will be rotating through North Georgia. If they sit over the wrong spot too long, low-lying areas, flood-prone areas could certainly see some flooding tonight to tomorrow.
Yeah, got a lot of pavement in the Atlanta area, and then we've got elevation up there in North Georgia. Well, day 3 of triple-digit temperatures for Seattle, a first. It's so hot, part of the interstate, part of I-5, Interstate 5, buckled in the extreme heat. As meteorologist Chris Warren shows us, the Pacific Northwest is wilting in record temps, and people are looking for relief anywhere they can.
Another big record day here in the Seattle area at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, breaking again the all-time high temperature, beating yesterday's all-time high temperature. This is the last day here of this extreme, unprecedented heat. It's going to remain hot the next several days in the 80s and even possibly the lower 90s in some areas, but dramatic cooling's on the way. But for now, it's go to the water. This is Lake Washington. That's downtown Seattle right over there. And this water temperatures in the 70s. They get into the upper 70s later in the summer, but just getting and standing in the water, it feels good. Just up to your knees cools the rest of your body. You feel it. And when that breeze kicks in, even though it is a warm breeze, it helps a little bit. If you have sweat, it's going to evaporate it. So that certainly does help. Now, Seattle's right over there. On the other side of Seattle is salt water, water that in the Puget Sound is connected to the Pacific Ocean. Those water temperatures are in the 50s. So that's where the dramatic cooling is coming from. It's going to start at the coast. It already has today. And then tonight and by tomorrow morning with temperatures into the 60s instead of the upper 70s, you'll know that the cooler air has arrived. So we're going to get that westerly flow, that salt water coming into the greater Seattle area, and then the extreme cold we've seen are in the mountain rivers where those water temperatures are in the 40s. We talk to people that say that's the place to be, but you got to be careful.
Yeah, it feels like it's about 20-degree difference. You know, you're up there baking in the sun, and then you come down, you get that cool river water that's blowing in your face, and tremendous difference.
I think that definitely everyone should know their bodies, and before they attempt something like this, they should definitely know their limits before going and trying to attempt things like this. Especially like an older guy who has any kind of medical conditions or anything should not be. He should be barbecuing here, not jumping.
And knowing your limits, taking it easy, it's easy to do when you have sunshine and nowhere to be. But unfortunately for people that have to be working today, they do what they have to do. We saw a popular delivery company driver in full uniform, shorts and a shirt, a uniform you'd recognize, I don't want to get him in trouble, came down, fully submerged himself, shoes and socks as well. In the middle of his shift, went back, started making deliveries again. Bottom line, you got to do what you got to do in this extreme heat.
Yeah, don't think anybody blames that person one bit, right? At parts of the Northeast, you're also feeling the heat. We take you to Worcester, Massachusetts, where it's 85 degrees. Dew points have been well into the 70s today. Heat advisory for the Worcester area, and you are not alone. We've got heat advisories through tomorrow, excessive heat warnings as well down towards the Philadelphia area, parts of Jersey. So we're dealing with uncomfortable, even dangerous heat, especially in those cities. If you know somebody without air conditioning, the little ones as they're outside playing, and of course, pets, got to remember them, bring them inside. Dew points holding in the mid 70s in Boston. Again, this is tropical air. This is the kind of stuff that, you don't mind so much when you're, on a Caribbean island drinking Mai Tais, but now you're here making your way home from work. You're wearing your work clothes, sweating through them. It's miserable out there across some of these areas. Today, we were in the 90s, heat index values into the triple digits, and we've got that possibility for some strong storms that remains into tonight. So Bangor to Augusta, over to Berlin, New Hampshire, and Newport, Vermont. So northern parts of Vermont and New Hampshire, and you can see the storms are out there now. Nothing severe at this point, but we'll continue to watch especially parts of Maine here in the coming hours. We've seen some storms into parts of New York State as well. Anything severe has been isolated at best. Now tomorrow we're going to make it into the mid 90s for D.C., for New York. How about upper 90s in Boston? Again, keeping that very muggy air. Those dew points remain into the 70s, so feels like temperatures or heat index values will be higher than what the thermometer says. Possibility of severe storms comes back into play on Wednesday for parts of the Northeast, so we're looking at Ohio and West Virginia all the way up into Maine. Again, isolated severe warnings, not looking at a huge opportunity, but the risk most certainly there. So as you make your way to the pools, maybe set up the slip and slide in the backyard, just make sure you've got an ear out for thunder or somebody's watching the radar. In Boston, how about highs in the upper 90s, not just Tuesday, but also Wednesday. Mark, we finally take the heat down a bit by Thursday into the mid-80s then.
Yeah, it's crazy when the mid-80s and high humidity starts to feel cool, but it's all relative, I suppose. And in that heat and humidity this weekend, look at the scenes that are still left 2 days after drenching rains came through Metro Detroit, putting parts of I-94 completely underwater. More than 6 inches of rain fell in a matter of hours this weekend, and the freeways have been really slow to drain because they were put in place after the city was built, and thus many of them were dug below ground, below sea level, or they're the lowest point, is what I'm trying to say. So the water flows there, and it's pretty tough to get the water out once the water has arrived. So you got stalled out cars. What a mess, right? That's the bottom line. But it's not just a Detroit story. It is right through the center of the country, from Texas to Chicago, and just about everywhere in between, a chance for flooding because of a repeating storm pattern that has really funneled in that tropical moisture. We've got Gulf of Mexico moisture coming up this way. We've got Pacific Ocean moisture coming up this way, and in between, or really where those meet up and then continue to go north and east, gosh, it's easy to get showers and thunderstorms at this point. Here's a look right now across portions of the Midwest into the Great Lakes. Widespread shower and thunderstorm activity. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning has popped up on the western side of Michigan. This is right over 196, the Holland area. It's Allegan and Ottawa counties. Severe thunderstorm warning, some gusty winds, maybe some small hail, but wind is really the biggest threat. You see that kind of bowing segment right there. It is breezy going right down 196 there. Also, looking at storms into the Tennessee Valley. A little bit different here because you're feeling the Atlantic tropical flow. So storms are going east to west across this area. This is a storm we've been following for the past hour or so into Tennessee, eastern Tennessee, Campbell and Scott, gusty winds for you. This is crossing right over I-75, and the winds are coming perpendicular to the highway, so high-profile vehicles got to watch this as you're traveling either north-south here on I-75. Well, those winds are coming in this way, and so not only is it a direction you might not be used to seeing storms come in from if you live here, but it's also, again, perpendicular to the road, and that's never easy for the big trucks that are doing the interstate travel. Otherwise, repeated rains leading to some flooding. We've seen the rivers high across this area. The reds and in particular the purples on this map are moderate to then major flooding. That's where homes and businesses start to get right up against the waters. And we've got several more hours of these, showers and storms to go. We're not done. Maybe a little bit of a focus point here on the Oklahoma City area and Kansas City and points north. Neither of those areas, Alex, need any more rain. They've been very soggy recently, and slow-moving thunderstorms through this evening won't help that at all.
Not at all. Well, we got much more to come on Weather Underground, including more on Danny. It's made landfall, but where is it going from here, and who could be bracing for heavy rain? Plus, rip currents, huge waves, only a problem at the ocean, right? Well, not necessarily. We'll tell you a surprising place where they may catch you off guard.
Each of us has a different story, but this family isn't about where you come from. It's about where you're going. We might not recognize each other walking down the street, but driving down it, we recognize in each other the same spirit of adventure. There's only one family and one community, quite like ours. Jeep, there's only one.
Current FCA owners or lessees can get $5,400 bonus cash on the lease of a 2021 Cherokee, or purchase and get 0% financing plus no monthly payments for 90 days.
Life's kinda unpredictable. Like when your groceries arrive the moment you remember everything you forgot. Or when your kid says, "There's a bake sale at school tomorrow." Tomorrow? Or when you discover art couture is a thing you have to try, like now. Or when you could go to the store, but you also need to walk the dog, pack the lunches, and oh yeah, take the kids to school. You have children! For anything today brings, fresh groceries and more, free same-day delivery. Walmart Plus.
Command Adjustables products can be repositioned up to 3 times, so you can get it just right. Command, do no harm.
Domino's is testing driverless delivery powered by Neuro, and it's got someone back to their old habits. Avoid the Noid when you get any 2 or more medium 2-topping Domino's pizzas delivered for just $5.99 each.
Experience Makita's cordless string trimmer. Get unstoppable power without the hassles of gas. and trim non-stop for over a mile. Now get 2 extra free batteries.
Get more out of summer with more from the Home Depot. With 4th of July savings like these, we can all make this a summer to remember. The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
It's time for Sleep Number's lowest prices of the season on the Sleep Number 360 smart bed. It's the most comfortable, body sensing, automatically responding, energy building, dually adjustable, dad powering, wellness boosting, foot warming, temperature balancing, recovery assisting, effortlessly life-changing, proven quality night's sleep we've ever made. Don't miss our weekend special. The new Queen Sleep Number 360 C2 smart bed is only $8.99, plus free premium delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday.
We've never been so ready to get back out there. And with Copper Tone Sport, we can reclaim the boulders, the backwoods, and the breakers. Copper Tone Sport. Find your sun.
Attention filmmakers. It's your last chance to submit your short film for a chance to win $10,000. Go to pattrn.com for details.
If you were diagnosed with mesothelioma or asbestos-related lung cancer, call the law firm of Whites and Luxembourg, who, for the last 30 years, has achieved record-breaking New York City mesothelioma and lung cancer verdicts for thousands of your neighbors and coworkers. It does make a difference which law firm you hire, so choose wisely and call Whites and Luxembourg today. Call 1-888-411-LAWS. That's 1-888-411-LAWS.
When you're open for travel, we'll be open for you. Maryland.
A heat advisory is in effect. Currently in our area, 85 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 77. Winds southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tuesday, sunshine and some clouds. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High 95. Tuesday night, clear skies, low 79. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Evacuate immediately. Go, go!
Welcome back into Weather Underground. Tracking Tropical Storm Danny. It made landfall near Hilton Head Island there in South Carolina. You can see the rain moving inland into areas in Georgia south of Augusta. And we're going to be watching for more heavy rain showers as this system continues to roll off towards the west. So portions of Georgia, including the Atlanta metro area, will be watching for some gusty winds, but especially rain showers here as we move into the next few hours. Again, the pressure currently at 1,010 millibars, winds at 40 miles an hour. So this is going to continue to weaken here now moving forward now that it has made landfall. But rain, of course, will be the bigger issue moving forward. Parts of Atlanta could be looking at some flash flooding issues. We've got a lot of pavement there. And of course, North Georgia, where we've got some terrain, could see some flash flooding problems with that heavy rain persisting into the overnight and early morning hours. There's a look at our current tropical storm warnings near the Charleston area. Mark?
You know, all this week on Weather Underground, we're breaking down beach hazards. And with so many people heading to the beach for the July 4th holiday, the risk for accidents on the water goes way up. And it's not just, say, the traditional beaches at the ocean that can be deadly. In fact, 2020 was the deadliest year on record for Lake Michigan. So what makes it so dangerous? Let's talk a little bit about why Lake Michigan in particular is kind of a different beast compared to other lakes across the country. Number one, it's huge comparatively, right? There is a long fetch, right? That distance of the lake north to south is about 307 miles. And even on the narrow side, it's still rather long, right? 118 miles wide. That means when the winds go over those waters, there's more than enough time for the winds to move that water. That's what creates waves, right? Wind going up and over the water, over those long fetches of water. So the longer the wind is moving over the water, the bigger the waves can get. And the waves not only have the battering force, they have a danger, but they also wind up leading into currents. There can be many different types of currents on the lakes, including rip currents, but also longshore currents and obstacles that get in the way that just add to that threat. So yes, we know that rip currents can be an underestimated danger even on the Great Lakes. We want to bring in Dave Benjamin with the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project, joining us now to talk about why people shouldn't let their guard down just because they're visiting a lake and not the ocean. This is a different beast, and I think people kind of underestimate the risk here.
All right, Dave, let's start with some of the concerns that we need to have. Rip currents on lakes. I think a lot of people probably show up thinking like, gosh, rip current wouldn't be a thing, but this is a real risk at some of those beaches.
Yes, absolutely. So winds across the Great Lakes make several types of dangerous currents. If the winds are coming onshore, it can create waves as well as dangerous currents, such as longshore currents, rip currents, and structural currents around piers. So these currents can kind of work in concert where even small waves, 2 to 3 foot, yellow flag conditions, fun, ready to play in, and more people going in the water, not really understanding that a longshore current can move you down the beach a little bit to where, you're on a sandbar and it's nice and shallow, but it gets a little deeper as you move parallel to shore, could go into the trough of a rip current and then move away from shore. And then same thing, the longshore current can move you down the beach towards the pier. And when it gets to the pier, it's going to go out and around the pier. And there's going to be drop-offs and other obstacles around the pier, such as these big riprap boulders. So there's a lot of hazards around these piers.
So Dave, let's say I'm taking my family, got young kids, want to go to the lake. What should we be looking for? How should we stay safe this summer?
We need to understand that there's always hazards around every body of water, and that water safety across the board nationwide is just not common sense. It's common sense to know that if your clothes catch on fire, you should stop, drop, and roll, but it's not common sense what you should do if you get in trouble in the water and you're struggling. So we want people to know that you should always be hyper aware around any body of water, that there's always hazards around water. When you're going to the beach, you should make sure that you have a water watcher, that there's one person in your group who's the designated adult water watcher who's going to watch the water at all times while your party's in the water. And if you need to go to the bathroom or concession stand, you need to assign another adult water watcher. Safe Kids USA has a great device. It's called a water watcher tag. You can print it off their website, put it on a necklace, you wear it around, and you just take it off and you put it on another adult, and you read them the instructions. While watching or while you are at the beach, you will keep your eyes on the water at all times. If you need to leave, another adult will replace you, and you just put it on the next adult.
Yeah, it's a great tip there. And plus, turning over and floating so that you have enough time to then signal help. So many great things that we can think about when going into waters that we might not be as used to as, say, ocean waters. That's Dave Benjamin with the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Great information as always.
Thank you.
And coming up next on Weather Underground, we've been talking about record-shattering heat. Well, meteorologist Chris Warren is back in that heat in the Pacific Northwest. He's going to show us what they are facing, including some numbers on those thermometers that they have literally never experienced before in those locations.
Parents have a way of imagining the worst, especially when your easily distracted teenager has the car. At Subaru, we're taking on distracted driving with sensors that alert you when your eyes are off the road. The Subaru Forester. The safest Forester ever.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Only pay for what you need with customized car insurance from Liberty Mutual. Nothing rhymes with Liberty Mutual.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This July 4th, let's pause and show our spirit across this land. Let's get ready to celebrate with family, good friends, and lots of fun. You work hard out here. So let's come together as a community and make the most of our summertime. Independence Day is upon us. Let's show what it means out here. Tractor Supply.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil.
The suffering caused by natural disasters, caused by human intentions, all has the feel of desperation that nothing can make a difference.
But in those moments of those whys, that's when we are called to show the love of Christ.
Samaritan's Purse, we're on a rescue mission, and we go in Jesus' name.
They are helping in many ways, providing water, food, so many things.
No matter how great the challenges are, our God is bigger.
There's nothing can stand against love. That's what our Lord Jesus teaches us.
We go into the areas of the world where people are in the ditch, where there are wars and famines and disease. This is where we go. This is what we do. We help in Jesus' name.
The Garcias are good at getting the most out of things.
Just trying to trim it.
And making a little go a long way. And with GoodRx,
Hey, baby, I'm gonna go grab my prescription.
they're good at saving on prescriptions at their pharmacy, too.
Hi, Mr. Garcia.
Hi, I'm here for my prescription.
Okay.
We're using GoodRx.
Oh, okay. Yep, that's a lot better. See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you. Bye, Mom.
You're good with GoodRx.
It doesn't matter how you grill. If you've got the greatest combination of spices in your hand, flame and flavor is all you need. Grill Mates.
Pattern is dedicated to Earth and all its wonders. And filmmakers, it's your last chance to submit your work to the Pattern Earth Film Challenge. Submit your short film for a chance to win $10,000. Go to pattrn.com for details.
Well, a rough day out on the water as the sea churned up. We had Tropical Storm Danny not far away from the Charleston coastline. It's since made landfall near Hilton Head, but yeah, this will be an afternoon for the Dramamine. Dramamine. How do you say it? Dramamine? Drama? It's all drama if you don't take your Dramamine.
I try not to say it because just watching this video makes me seasick.
Yeah, right.
So I say nothing. I don't look at boats. I get seasick in a bathtub.
Yeah, poor Mark. All the drama, right?
Yeah.
Our newly named tropical storm did lead to some big issues for people who took this week to start their vacation, but it's not going to be lasting forever. This one actually, Mark, is a pretty quick mover.
Yeah, racing inland, so the beaches will be better, at least from the sky, although there could be some lingering impacts from rip currents. The ocean got all turned up because this storm system came through. Tropical storm warnings were issued and are still in place across portions of the South Carolina coast. And a lot of areas inland are now seeing tropical rains moving in. So we want to bring in hurricane expert Dr. Rick Knabb to follow this for us, right? Not just inland impacts now that landfall has taken place, but not just coastal impacts, but inland impacts now as well.
Yeah, now the good news is with that fast forward motion, it's going to lessen the overall impacts from rainfall-induced flooding. The tropical storm warnings almost certainly will come down later this evening as it becomes a tropical depression, as it weakens quickly moving inland. In fact, it's barely a tropical storm right now, so it's only going to be a very small area right near the coast over water that's getting those tropical storm force winds. Motion at 16 miles an hour is going to end the event in terms of the tropical storm, not the rip currents, because the onshore flow will continue to impinge upon the coastline, but the weather will dramatically improve. Now, this track will be updated within the next 2 to 2.5 hours when the 11 p.m. Eastern Time advisory comes out. This is still the track forecast from the 5 p.m. advisory, but I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. So it'll be moving over Georgia as a depression and then dissipating pretty quickly by tomorrow night. And the fast forward motion is because of the Bermuda high. And again, that's why the rip current risk is still high, even with Danny getting out of the picture because of that onshore flow. Danny's just adding a little bit of oomph, especially on the northern side. And speaking of oomph, you had the open swirl all day long until the last minute, the blow up of thunderstorms late this afternoon, and the center got involved with deep thunderstorms, and that's when we had the max winds peak out at 45 miles an hour. Now here's the last few hours of the radar loop, and you can see how the convection has been completely southwest loaded because of the wind shear in the atmosphere. And the good news is that the heaviest rains have now moved out of the Savannah area and moving farther inland. So the rainfall is going to be spotty. This is what the infrared looks like, but that overestimates what things look like, based on the radar, because the lightning is on the way down, Alex.
Dr. Knabb, thanks. Please keeping an eye on that. We'll bring you some more updates. But of course, we're also watching the heat across the West. As the mercury has been rising, records have been falling. Seattle hit 107 degrees today, an all-time record. This is quite the unusual scenario. This is part of the country where many residents don't even have air conditioning. Weather Channel meteorologist Chris Warren is in Kirkland, Washington, where it wasn't just the people who need to find ways to keep cool in this extreme and record-setting heat that's the story.
The good news here is the end is in sight. The bad news is it's not over yet. Today, likely going to be the peak, the climax of this whole record, unprecedented, dangerous heat event that's been happening here in western Washington. The Pacific Northwest and parts of the West Coast will remain extremely hot for days. But for here, where we are in Kirkland, just across Lake Washington from downtown Seattle, people are still dealing with it. And one thing you have to deal with is your feet, your pet's paws as well. I want to take some temperatures here, look at some concrete, and 129 degrees is what that piece of concrete says. And this is a slightly different looking concrete, a little bit darker, 134. Different colors, different materials, absorb and retain heat differently. Now grass, it takes a lot more energy to heat up grass, and this says it's 104 one part of the grass, this says 93, but again, the concrete much warmer than that. So footwear absolutely important, whether it's for yourself or for your pets if they're not in the water, especially again, very dangerous on the streets. However, and remember that even though we're going to be seeing much cooler temperatures as early as tomorrow, by western Washington standards, it's still going to be hot. Upper 80s to mid 80s. If we had that in any summer, we'd be talking about a heat wave. But here, with temperatures that we've seen record breaking the last few days, extreme to the extreme.
Yeah, and I think we could all relate with that dog that just was like, I do not want to get wet, please. Do we all have one of those? I know I got 3. Hey, coming up on Weather Underground, Tropical Storm Danny, not the only system we're watching. Dr. Knabb back with a look at what's catching his eye.
Riders, wanderers on the road of life. The journey is why they ride. When the road is all you need, there is no destination.
I'm actually just going to get a nice coffee.
Well, she may have a destination this one time, but usually...
I usually have a destination.
Yeah, but most of the time her destination is...
Nope, just the coffee shop.
No matter why you ride, Progressive has you covered with protection starting at $79 a year.
Because she's a biker.
Please don't follow me in.
This is the conference finals.
Here's Davis, 4-3 in the win. Oh, it's gone.
This is the NBA. And that's good.
Experience Makita's cordless outdoor power equipment. The mower cuts non-stop for up to 2 miles. Get unstoppable power without the hassles of gas. Now, get 2 extra free batteries.
Stover's makes you happy full.
Kids, dinner!
With 2 times the meat and 3 kinds of cheese, you can't be anything but happy full. Stouffer's.
People today, they could spend half their lives over 50.
I get used to this.
So that's good. Make sure your happiness lives as long as you do. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Join today.
When you order carryout, choose Domino's Carside Delivery. Check in when you arrive, and we guarantee we'll be headed out the door less than 2 minutes after your order is ready. If anything slows us down, your next pizza is free. Put Domino's new 2-minute guarantee to the test.
My heart failure diagnosis changed my priorities. I want time for the people I love. My heart doesn't pump enough blood, so my doctor gave me Farxiga. It helps my heart do its job better. Farxiga helps keep me living life and out of the hospital for heart failure.
Do not take if allergic to Farxiga. Symptoms of a serious allergic reaction include rash, swelling, difficulty breathing, or swallowing. Stop taking and seek medical help right away. Tell your doctor right away if you have red color in urine, or pain while you urinate, or a genital area infection, since a rare but serious genital infection may be life-threatening. Do not take Farxiga if you have severe kidney problems or are on dialysis. Other serious side effects include dehydration, sudden kidney problems, genital yeast and bacterial infections in women and men, urinary tract infections, and low blood sugar. Stop taking Farxiga and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of ketoacidosis, which is serious and may lead to death.
Work time with her? Sounds good to me.
If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Kleenex Ultra Soft Tissues. 3 layers strong for sneezes, smudges, and everything in between. Kleenex, for all the moments. A portion of every purchase is donated to students in need.
Tropical storm Danny continues to move farther inland. Landfall occurred a little bit earlier this evening, and now that interior track is going to continue bringing the tropical rains into, say, the upstate of South Carolina, maybe the North Georgia mountains. You can see what's left of the circulation already looking a little bit more disorganized, and that is good news. We'll take that, a fast-moving storm, and hopefully we'll avoid some of the worst of the impacts. But let's kind of break down where else we could see this threat. What else we're still following right now when it comes to Tropical Storm Danny. Here are the latest stats for you. 40-mile-per-hour top wind speeds. Landfall occurred just outside of Hilton Head Island, continuing to move on off towards the northwest, close to 15 miles per hour. But the worst of the rains aren't right next to the center anymore, right? The big complex of thunderstorms from Savannah is now jumping off towards the north and west, south of Augusta, kind of leaving behind what's left of our circulation. Let's hope that shearing, that kind of ripping apart from the upper levels of the atmosphere continues, because that would mean less inland impacts with regards to the chance for flooding, for example, over the upstate of South Carolina or North Georgia, because that's where whatever's left of this spin is going to move to next. Wind's not really a factor. I mean, look, by early morning tomorrow, top winds are expected to be near 30. You get that in any garden variety thunderstorm across the southeast in the summertime. So wind's not the factor, but in any strong storms, there could be some gusty winds right now. There could be isolated tornadoes. Luckily, we haven't seen any of that so far, and it doesn't look super likely that we're going to see a bunch more now that landfall has taken place. But things could start to evolve a little bit by tomorrow afternoon, because we're still going to have some of this spin. We're still going to have some help from this area of low pressure. And gosh, if you were anywhere in the southeast today, you know just how sultry it really was out there. It was hot. It was humid. It was, suggesting that we could start to see showers and thunderstorms at just about any point here. And if that were to occur with that spin approaching, well, that would kind of activate that really tropical air mass and give us a chance for more showers and storms. A chance of isolated flooding through tomorrow morning, and then that moves into North Georgia, maybe Tennessee and northern Alabama by tomorrow. Not the only storm system we're following. Tropical Storm Danny is headed through the southeast, but Hurricane Enrique is in the East Pacific, causing flash flooding and mudslides in southwestern Mexico. High waves, strong tropical storm force winds battering the coast today. Dr. Nab, this is a storm that the Pacific interests are really watching carefully.
Yeah, and just because it's not a hurricane anymore doesn't mean it isn't going to cause more problems, not just due to winds, but water. It's a slow-moving system, always has been. We'll talk about what's going on in the East Atlantic here in a few minutes. We got a lot to deal with in the tropics, and both basins have gotten busy. And Enrique became the first hurricane in either basin this year. Over the weekend, it has now weakened because of the cooler waters, some dry air and some wind shear. But the big problem is it's slow motion. The wind's now down to 65 miles an hour, but it's only moving at 6. Now, these tropical storm watches and warnings on the mainland coast of Mexico have just been dropped by the government of Mexico, but this tropical storm watch remains in effect for Cabo San Lucas because of that general motion in their direction, and it is forecast to hold on to just enough tropical storm strength, maybe bring tropical storm conditions to Cabo, but I don't think wind is going to be the big problem. It's going to be the water. And if you envision what's going on here with the center circulation here, yes, it's bringing in the cool waters and the stable. That's making it kind of lopsided, but the east side is pretty moist, and you've got the land with the daytime heating in the mountains, adding to it, and the warm waters all the way up into the Gulf of California. So there's still some fuel there, if not to keep a tropical storm really strong, to fuel a lot of showers and thunderstorms with the daytime heating. And then when you envision the slow motion over the next few days, you can see why we're going to get the moisture surge up the Gulf of California. By Thursday, there'll be a noticeable increase in the moisture in Arizona, and it will increase even more into Saturday. So sometimes these East Pacific systems can give a little extra juice to the monsoon, Alex.
All right, Dr. Nab, thanks. In the middle of the country, we've got plenty of tropical moisture, plenty of juice to work with. And in fact, we're going to be watching for some flooding problems. Unfortunately, a stalled frontal boundary is going to keep shower and thunderstorm chances going. And that could mean repeated rounds of rain for places like St. Louis. Chicago, a little bit more blue sky right now than cloud cover. But St. Louis, you've been up against the showers and storms. And areas to the east, or rather west of St. Louis, under a flash flood watch. We've also got flood watches in effect. You can see really the expanse of that stationary front. So that diagonal line of the watches and warnings, or the watches, then interspersed with our water vapor imagery, which is showing the blow up of showers and thunderstorms from portions of Texas to Oklahoma to Missouri to Illinois up towards the Chicago area. So you kind of get the deal. You get the setup very clearly here. Portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin getting in on some heavy rain to the north and west of Chicago. Back down into Missouri, that's where we've really had the problems today in terms of the flash flood warnings. So those showers and storms that have prompted some warnings. Remember, it's been saturated here in Missouri, and we've seen more rain out there today. A few severe warnings here into Tennessee. We've got those storms moving from east to west. So these have crossed over Interstate 75, and now Scott County, Huntsville, and Norma watching for the potential for some gusty, damaging winds, perhaps some hail. But I think wind and heavy rain would be the greatest threats. There are some of our flash flood warnings, flood advisories posted from parts of Oklahoma into the state of Missouri. And as we look at the rainfall still to come, could see another 1-2 inches from Oklahoma up into the Indianapolis area, maybe 2 to 3 inches there into southeastern parts of Kansas. Well, coming up, Dr. Nab's going to give us a look on what else he's watching in the tropics in terms of the Atlantic. Stay with us.
What if I told you the best place to begin is within? With collagen that supports our body from the inside out. Because we feel supported from within, our confidence comes from way deeper. It's within us.
This is the conference finals.
Here's Davis, 4-3 in the win. Oh, it's good.
This is the NBA. And that's game.
Each of us has a different story, but this family isn't about where you come from. It's about where you're going. We might not recognize each other walking down the street, but driving down it. We don't look alike, but deep down, we all share the same spirit of adventure. There's only one family and one community, quite like ours. Jeep, there's only one.
Now get 3 years, no-cost maintenance with the Jeep Wave program, included with all 2021 Jeep brand vehicles.
Welcome to Allstate. Here, if you already pay for car insurance, you can take your home along for the ride. Allstate. Better protection costs a whole lot less. Click or call to bundle today.
Online dating? My buddy met a nice woman that way, but I'm not really sure where to look.
Pick up your phone, go to OurTime.com, just take a look. It's easy to take a look on Our Time, the dating site for people over 50.
Why do I do it? Because I love the challenge? God, no. I do it for the beer.
If you are...
We are connected, engaged. From the moment we rise, we move, we adjust, we learn, explore, relax, and grow together. So we're ready to build a better tomorrow. Stay informed throughout your day with the Spectrum News app, exclusively for Spectrum customers.
666, 6666. Remember 6. Going to the airport. Remember 6. Right around town. Call Carmel. Shopping or moving. Remember 6. The best ride in town. So wherever you want to go. Carmel is a number to know. Ride Carmel and be on time. Worldwide and nationwide. 666, 66666. Remember 6.
Even as the world opens back up, some social distancing is still highly recommended. Get into the out there, the Weather Channel.
A heat advisory is in effect. Currently in our area, 84 degrees under fair skies. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 77. Winds southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tuesday, sunshine and some clouds. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible. High 95. Tuesday night, clear skies, low 79. Here's our 7-day outlook.
We saw less severe weather this spring, but it came with major consequences. Here's meteorologist Carl Parker with this month's Examination Earth report.
May is typically the peak of severe weather season, but this past May was anything but. There were only 3 days with an above average number of severe reports, and there were no strong tornadoes rated EF3 or higher for the first time on record. The pattern that muted severe season also worsened the drought in the West, and drought emergencies were declared in California and Oregon. Fuel moisture was at record low levels in California in May, and there is grave concern about the wildfire danger ahead. 3,000 miles east in the Atlantic Ocean, Tropical Storm Anna formed on the 22nd, making it the 7th consecutive year that a tropical storm formed before the start of hurricane season. Globally, May was the 6th warmest on record, while Asia had its 2nd warmest May. Though 2021 is not on pace to be among the very warmest years on record, it will likely be among the top 10.
And that warmth eventually translates into the waters. And could we be setting the stage for an active, and fast start to the tropical year? Dr. Knabb here. Dr. Knabb, we've seen Danny. We have, storms on the Pacific side, and there's a couple of other features lining up as well.
Yeah, and all the way out to the west coast of Africa, where we tend to think of that being a peak of season area to watch. Well, we're having to watch it a little earlier because those tropical waves out in the central and eastern tropical Atlantic are a little more active with the thunderstorms than they sometimes are this time of year, and the models are suggesting at least the possibility of development. So is the Hurricane Center. So let's go through all of it with Danny having made landfall probably a little before 8 p.m. Eastern time. Max winds at 40 miles an hour. It's not going to be a tropical storm much longer. I think on the 11 p.m. advisory, it's back to a depression because everything will be on land, including the eastern part of the circulation, which is where those 40-mile-an-hour winds almost certainly are. West-northwest at 16 miles an hour, a fast mover because of the steering currents around the Bermuda High that are not just bringing Danny onshore, but bringing the high risk of rip currents from Florida to the Carolinas with a little extra energy added by what was our open swirl most of the day, in fact, most of the weekend. And then at the last minute, the thunderstorms over the Gulf Stream and over land, the center of circulation snuck under there, and the winds came up to 45 miles an hour just before it came ashore. Here's the longer loop on the radar. You can see finally the Savannah area has quieted down after a rockin' and rollin' couple of hours with vicious lightning and some flooding rains, even some strong winds. And the heaviest rain now is south of Augusta and northwest of Savannah. So the satellite appearance is not really impressive, but look how potent that convection was over Savannah. And even though it's not raining anymore of any significance there, we still have a flood advisory in effect till 9:30 because there still could be some low spots, some water-covered roads. So be careful driving. But the good news is with the lightning moving inland here, but not being as potent as it was, I think the rain rates have come down to the few inches per hour that we saw, but you still could have some problems on the roads in northern Georgia as this moves inland. But the wind issue, I don't think is going to be a real big deal. Just with the low moving into Atlanta tomorrow afternoon with the heating of the day could gin up a few extra afternoon thunderstorms. Tropical storm Enrique, it was a hurricane over the weekend. This slow moving system near the coast will continue to weaken. We still have a tropical storm watch for Cabo San Lucas, but the bigger picture is that it's going to bring some moisture through the Gulf of California here and could bring some added moisture to the southwest monsoon in places like Arizona when we get to Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. That's one thing that East Pacific tropical cyclones can do is contribute to one of these Gulf of California moisture surges. So maybe some benefit out of that system. Now, East Atlantic, here's the west coast of Africa. 2 tropical waves over water, another one about to come out of the hopper. And again, the farther west they go, the warmer the waters get. And that's why the lead wave has the chance of development, 40%, according to the Hurricane Center over the next 5 days. It will tangle with land and some wind shear, but there's at least some chance along the way that we get a depression or storm. And then I don't think that's the last one we're going to be looking at this week, because the first wave gets to the islands, Windward and Leeward Islands, by about Wednesday. But then the next wave that I showed you near the Cabo Verde Islands will be moving pretty swiftly westward, south of this subtropical high. So it'll get to the islands maybe on about Friday. And then it's at least possible, if the Euro is correct, that we could have some spin arriving north of the Caribbean, surrounding that high ahead of the trough over the east coast of the U.S. Something at least to watch. Because remember, before we had Danny, we had just a little hint in the models that something could form near the coastline. So this is another one of those hints. And when you get into July, Alex, sometimes these things can develop on our doorstep, like we saw with Hurricane Arthur, 4th of July weekend 7 years ago. I'm not saying that will happen, just saying you can't turn your back on the tropics in early July.
You cannot, absolutely. Well, storms may hamper in the search efforts that are continuing in Surfside, Florida. The rescue workers were looking today for survivors of the rubble and of a condominium building that collapsed early on Thursday morning. Now, the death toll sits at 10, but more than 150 people are still missing. Unfortunately, crews are still going to be battling the chance of thunderstorms again Tuesday and Wednesday. I know that's put a pause on some of the search efforts over the past few days, and we'll be watching the skies again Tuesday and Wednesday. Another update on Danny after this.
Okay, at AT&T, everyone gets our best deals on all smartphones. Let me break it down. You got your new customers. They get our best deals. You got your existing customers. They also get our best deals. Everyone gets the deals. Questions?
Got it. But why did you use a permanent marker?
Because I want to make sure you remember. I'm going to get a new whiteboard.
It's not complicated. Only AT&T gives everyone our best deals on every smartphone, like the Samsung Galaxy S21 5G for free.
So now Dish allows you to access your Google Nest Hello doorbell from your TV.
Wait, what time is it? No, he's here early. He can't see me like this. What do I do?
Always know who's at your door right from your TV. Dish, tuned in to you.
If there was a world championship for this, I'd be a sports legend. I'd be a household name. But there isn't. And I wouldn't do anything different if there was. Neutro. Feed clean.
With Long John Silver's family meals, you can have your cake for free and eat it too. Have it delivered from our shore to your door with any 10-piece meal or larger. Visit longjohnsilvers.com to find delivery and free cake options near you. Long John Silver's, Fish Yeah.
With thyroid eye disease, I was always wearing sunglasses to hide my bulging eyes. I wore them just about everywhere. But then my doctor recommended Tepezza, a prescription medicine for thyroid eye disease, and I didn't have to hide so much.
In a clinical study, more than 8 out of 10 patients taking Tepezza had less eye bulging, and nearly 7 out of 10 saw improvements in double vision. Tepezza is an infused medicine. Patients taking Tepezza may experience infusion reactions. Tell your doctor right away if you have symptoms such as high blood pressure, fast heartbeat, shortness of breath, or muscle pain. Before receiving Tepezza, tell your doctor if you have diabetes, inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD, or are pregnant or planning to become pregnant. Tepezza may raise your blood sugar even if you do not have diabetes and may worsen IBD such as Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis.
I look more like my old self again. Now I wear sunglasses because I want to.
Ask your doctor if Tepezza is right for you and visit mytepezza.com to see Jeannie's before and after photos.
At Loan Depot, we know home means everything. As America's lender and the official mortgage provider of Major League Baseball, we fund more than 30,000 home loans each month, saving you money and providing mortgage solutions that are personalized, convenient, and fast, and tailored to the most important home team of all, yours. Give us a call at 844-751-LOAN or visit us online today. Loan Depot, home purchase, home refinance, and the official mortgage provider of Major League Baseball.
I didn't order a pizza.
I know, but that Parker promo saved me so much on my insurance. Brought you a little something special.
Parker, State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
You're the man.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Yet again, we've had a tropical storm develop right on our doorstep, make landfall, have some impacts, and will, by tomorrow, be out of here. Danny is a fast-moving tropical storm, but it's still causing problems. We've still got tropical storm warnings up. We still have Enrique in the East Pacific, and we've got more potential trouble from tropical waves in the tropical Eastern Atlantic to keep track of. Danny's center of circulation came ashore. Now it's moving quickly inland at 16 miles an hour. Those max winds at 40 miles an hour just in a confined area near the coastline. Farther inland that gets, it'll be a depression by 11 p.m., I'm reasonably sure. And the tropical storm warnings that have been up will be coming down, but they're still up for now. So we still could have some trouble with some trees and power lines. Had some isolated issues along those lines over the last few hours. The fast motion is because of the Bermuda High steering it quickly off to the west-northwest and bringing the high risk of rip currents. Danny just adding to the mix there. So even tomorrow, the beaches could still be a bit dangerous, even as the weather improves. Here's the long loop where you see the open swirl until the last minute when it tucks underneath those thunderstorms that developed over the Gulf Stream and over land, and the little convergence as it comes ashore, and you get a mix of ingredients that led to some really vicious lightning and heavy rainfall in the Savannah area. Several inches of rainfall that led to some flooding problems. We've had a few trees and power lines come down, but now things are calming down a bit as the center circulation works its way farther inland. The heaviest storms now south of Augusta. Because of the quick motion and the relatively small size of the system, it's not going to maintain much of its strength as it goes over the Atlanta area tomorrow. But with the afternoon convection this time of year, it'll just juice things up a little bit more, but not a big inland wind or flood event expected. A couple of tropical waves out here in the deep tropical Atlantic, and the farther west they go and they reach that warmer water on approach to the Windward and Leeward Islands, things can perk up, and that's why the lead wave of those two has a 40% chance of developing according to the Hurricane Center. It will tangle with land and some wind shear later down the road, but it doesn't mean it can't develop along the way. Watch how the models play out. Here's the Caribbean right here, and we have the lead wave getting to the Windward and Leeward Islands on about Wednesday, and then the wave behind that gets to the islands on about Friday. And if things work out a certain way, we could have something close by to the U.S. to watch very carefully come this weekend. Carl Park will have updates as the night goes on. Thanks for watching Weather Underground. Together, we know more.